So for this class, I chose to read the book called Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. This is what it looks like without the cover art. You want to see the cover art? It's right here too. And basically, it has helped me a lot to rethink how I approach my future as someone who is currently working towards getting a software development degree at the U and wants to work in tech in the future. So, the main idea of the book is that you don't need to find your one true calling, and that it's really a myth to just want to only work in one career for the rest of your life. And you can design your life the same way a product designer approaches a new idea. And through just by curiosity, prototyping, and iteration, you can achieve that. You can do many things throughout your life. It doesn't have to be just one thing. And you don't need to have it all figured out, which I, for the last few years, have struggled to, you know, cope with where I'm at currently when it comes to, academics and applying to internships. I've struggled with that a lot. And the only thing that really does help you learn is just through failure. I think one quote that definitely helped to realize that is that you design your life the same way you design a product. By listening and building empathy, you generate a lot of ideas and you prototype and you test them. And you keep doing that until you have a better understanding of where you're at or where you want to be. One part of my journey that really connects with the book was when, in my freshman and sophomore years, I started out as a data science major. And I like the idea of working with, data and solving real world problems. And my sister is a data scientist and she's really smart and I look up to her a lot. She was an applied mathematics major and I struggled a lot with just calculus 1, which I failed the class in my first semester at the U, which I'm not proud of. And I retook it and I barely passed. And it kind of left me wondering, if it's really the right choice for me to pursue a degree in that field. And, over time, I had to reframe that kind of question. It wasn't, working with tech that I didn't enjoy. I enjoy, coding. I enjoy, software development. I realized I wasn't ready for such a math heavy course load. The book teaches you about dysfunctional beliefs, reframed questions. So my dysfunctional belief was I wasn't good at math and I'm not meant for it. Maybe I'm just not meant for something like a career in STEM. Maybe I'm not meant for pursuing a STEM degree in general. By thinking about it more, I was able to realize that struggling is part of the process, even though it was painful, and you got to pay attention to where your energy flows and not just where you feel successful. Shifting my focus from data science to software development made a huge difference. And I realized, software development's sort of a broad field compared to data science. It's got similar ideas. You're still coding, you're still using math, and you're designing, you're prototyping things, and you have to have that kind of mindset. I was willing to experiment and adjust, and that was one of the first things that has helped me. You have to be willing to explore new ideas and prototype, and eventually, through hard work you can arrive at a solution. This last semester I'd been applying to hundreds of internships, and every single day I would get a dozen rejection emails. Kind of felt like I was just, falling behind. Maybe I'm really just not cut out. Maybe I just don't have the qualifications, or there's something off about me, whatever it is, that I'm unhireable. And, it's a really toxic way to view yourself as, incapable, unhireable, not worthy of other people's time or energy. It's not healthy. I look on it now, and I had an interview with a couple of companies, thankfully, and they were great opportunities. I got to learn more about, the companies that I was, hoping to work for over the summer. And unfortunately, I was rejected. I didn't receive an offer after those interviews, and it really made me feel stuck. And I don't know, one day I kind of just had, I thought about it more and more. I realized, it's not really a terrible thing. It just means that I should just do more. I should, build more projects on my own. I should try to look for certifications or courses that are accredited. Maybe I want to get like a cybersecurity certificate, or I want to do something like machine learning, even though I don't have the math background for it. It shows that I at least have an interest in some of these other fields. And this summer, it's likely I won't be getting an internship, unfortunately. Even worse, I will likely have to do another semester at the U instead of graduating after, the 4 years like people, normally would expect you to. And it's okay to not meet that kind of expectation. It's okay to take another semester, maybe take 2 or 3. Because at the end of the day, I want my degree. Even just doing things on my own for projects, that's something I really want to do. Take courses online. There's a lot of great courses on Udemy, Coursera, Khan Academy's great, Code Academy too. Um, I have a lot of options. In essence, I will be more prepared when I graduate. So another quote that I also want to read off was from the book: "You can't know where you're going until you know where you are, and accepting where you are is the first step to moving forward." And receiving a lot of rejection emails, and getting text messages from the guys that were interviewing me saying they gave the offer to some other candidate, that it took a while for me to really accept that, to accept those rejections. But honestly, the more you get rejected, the easier it gets. And that's something that you do have to learn the hard way in life. And another idea that the book introduced is prototyping your future. I used to think that I had to pick one tech path and stick to it. Do I want to do like back end or front end development, full stack? Do I want to create the next like latest and greatest AI models? Do I want to do game development? I to this day I don't know exactly what I want to do. And to be honest, there isn't really just one thing I want to do. I'm dabbling in web development. I'm studying, like things like 3D graphics and how they work. I've explored things like cybersecurity and information technology, and talking to people that work in those fields also helps a lot too. It's just all low stakes experimentation to help me figure out just what clicks. And another quote from the book that really helps to drive that home is that prototypes are questions, not answers. They're a way of exploring the future by doing, not just thinking. This book, Designing Your Life, has reminded me that, skills like math and computer science, they're not fixed traits. They're just skills that you can build and you learn from by failing. And another quote is, "You're not your GPA or your resume. You're a constantly evolving person, and you're allowed to grow." Overall, it's taken a lot of work to help me to stop obsessing over the perfect path for me, and instead focus on designing my future, learning to be curious and to have intention. And I had to unlearn these ideas that I'm stuck, or that I can't do it. And I just have to prototype a life that fits me. And finally, one quote that really drives it home is that you don't choose a life, you build one. So that's about all I have to say about the book Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett and Dave Evans. Thank you for listening.